Hello Internet, I'm Rob and this is my channel, A Minor Error, and today I'm going to be taking an in-depth look at an ESP LTD Deluxe MH-1000 guitar. But first, before I get into this video, if you like it and you'd like to help support me directly, I've provided some affiliate links down below in the description. That's a great way of supporting me and helping me be able to continue to make videos like this. As always, chapters are down below, help you skip around and get to whatever part in the video you might be most interested in. This video is going to go as follows. I'm going to have a recording that I did exclusively on this guitar. We'll talk about the features, the good, the bad, and my overall verdict and opinion on the guitar. So let's hear it. So now that we've heard the guitar, the eagle-eye viewer of you may have noticed the Doom t-shirts and everything. There is a theme here. The recording is a part of my Doom Volume 2 EP that I just released. There is, yes, a Doom Volume 1. I've made 2 whole EPs of cover music from the original Doom and Doom 2 video games. This track is called Sign of Evil, and it's one of my favorite tracks from either Doom or Doom 2. For the signal chain, I spent extra time making sure that this guitar was ready to go. I used Gorgamite to clean the fingerboards and the frets. I also restrung it with my favorite set of Stringjoy strings. I'm running the guitar through a string source cable, which goes directly into a Motu M2 interface, and then all of the amp sounds are neural DSP plugins as always, with my own custom processing, and I did also mix and master the track as well. If you're interested in checking out more of the cover EPs that I've released, the links are down below to check them out on Spotify or iTunes. And yes, I do actually have full tabs for all the guitar parts on all of the 2 cover EPs available to purchase on my Bandcamp. If you're interested, again, link down below. So this guitar sells for $1,100 new, and if you shop around, you might be able to find one in decent condition used for around $900 to $950. The construction of this guitar is a set neck. It's a maple neck set into a mahogany body with a rosewood fingerboard. The body features a quilted maple top, and it has Grover tuners. It also comes with a Floyd Rose 1000 series tremolo, which is double locking with a locking nut as well. This guitar has 24 XJ frets. They are nickel frets though, they are not stainless steel. This guitar has 2 active humbucker pickups by EMG. It's an EMG 85 in the neck and an EMG 81 in the bridge. And they're wired up to a 3-way switch with a master tone and a master volume knob. For these controls, there is no push-pull, so that's all you got. You've got no single coil options here. All right, let's talk about the good. The first thing that I want to point out about the good is that the overall build quality here is immaculate. The fit and finish is basically perfect, and cosmetically there was no issues whatsoever. Now it is a little bit more of an expensive guitar. You know, anything that's pushing over $1,000 really ought to better be perfect, but you'd be surprised at the kind of guitars I'm seeing being sold. Yes, I'm talking about you, Sterling by Music Man. I am not a fan. Not the case here. ESP and LTD guitars are one of my favorite brands that I keep recommending to everyone for a budget or intermediate level guitar. Yes, this one is starting to get a little bit too pricey, but the construction and build quality really is here. Schecter is another brand that I find really delivers, and all of their guitars I've been really happy with. After using the Gorgamite on the fingerboard and the frets, I was absolutely blown away by how nice the frets played. They're unbelievably smooth. There's no fretwork issues here whatsoever. There's no sort of fret sprout. It's absolutely perfect for bending. It was so smooth and effortless. Just absolutely loved the way the frets played, the way that they were ready to go is just really, really well done. Another positive here, I'm surprised to say, are the EMG pickups. I did not expect to say that. I'm not a big fan of active pickups, but on this instrument, I was really happy with how they turned out. I thought I was able to get a pretty good clean tone going on, and I was pretty happy with the lead tone as well. I still prefer passive pickups, but I think on a guitar like this, if I was gonna be keeping it, I probably would stick with the EMGs. I think they perform pretty well. Another positive for me at least is that the neck is not paper thin here. It does have a little bit more beef to it. It's not overly large or huge or anything, but it is a little bit thicker. It's still comfortable to play shreddy stuff on, but it is comfortable as well if you like to grab the neck like a baseball bat, kind of have your thumb around the top of it in more of a classic rock kind of position. It is comfortable enough for that kind of playing style. The quality of materials here are very top-notch just in general. I found the cosmetics to be beautiful. Some people may say gaudy, so the look here with all of the inlays might not be for you, which I totally get. Me personally, I thought it looked great. Again, it's just really well made, no issues whatsoever. Another positive here definitely is that 1000 series Floyd Rose tremolo. I found it to be light and springy. It would flutter pretty well, and overall I was really happy with it. And lastly, kind of related to it, the rear cavity plate does have slits in it, so you can get a screwdriver in there to adjust the claw without having to remove the back plate, which should be obvious on every guitar that has a tremolo, but you'd be surprised how many of them don't do that. So I do like the slits in the back plate. It's a small attention to detail that I really like. So now that I'm about halfway through this video, it's a good time for me to plug what I do. So first, I'm an original progressive metal guitar player. I write and release my own music here on my channel. I also do thorough guitar reviews like this one, other product reviews, and some music theory and guitar lessons on my channel. I also do give Zoom lessons. I give guitar lessons, music theory lessons, ear training, and music production lessons on Zoom. So if you're interested in a lesson, contact info down below. On to the bad, and unfortunately there is going to be quite a few things to discuss here. The very first thing is that the truss rod adjustment was absolutely horrid out of the box. It was way too tight. The neck actually had like a forward bow to it and needed truss rod adjustment basically immediately. It was like unplayable out of the box. Which brings to the next issue. Getting at the truss rod on this guitar was a major pain in the neck. I do not understand why there is a string tree on this guitar. It's a double locking design, so the string tree is doing absolutely nothing to aid in tuning stability and completely gets in the way of accessing the truss rod. I had to remove the string tree in order to be able to get to the truss rod. Something that should take literally 2 minutes to adjust turns into a half an hour project, and that's the kind of thing that really gets under my skin, especially when I'm trying to crank out 11 guitar reviews all at once. Any little extra steps piss me off, and this was one of them that I was not a fan of. Another issue I ran into is that the tremolo bar has a screw to tighten it, and I don't like these kind of designs, and there was some sort of an issue where I was getting this sympathetic buzz on certain notes and had to try to adjust the tremolo bar around to try to cut out the buzz because it was being heard in the recording process. It was very frustrating. Another one of those just weird things, hard to say exactly what was causing it, if it was some sort of a defect or if it's just, how this tremolo is, but definitely worthwhile to point out. Another major issue is the pickup selector switch is put in one of the worst locations. It's essentially behind the volume knob, so quick access, getting at it, is very cumbersome, especially I found if I was going from the bridge setting, trying to flip it back to the neck, you had to almost loop your hand around the volume knob in order to operate it. Just a really, really dumb location. One of those things where, it just seems like nobody bothered to test the guitar out of the prototype stage and really see if those placements made sense. Not a big fan at all of the placement of the pickup selector switch. Another thing I didn't like is the three-way switch. Limiting your tonal options there is something I'm not a big fan of, and the fact it didn't even have a push-pull to be able to have the option to get it some split coil tones. Not a big fan of that at all. I would much rather personally prefer a 5-way switch, keep everything nice and simple. That would have been a much better choice in my opinion. Another issue is that I didn't like the matching abalone inlays for the fret markers on the fingerboard that go along with the binding. It made them kind of blend in at certain times. Yes, you should technically just be looking at the dots really along the edge of the neck, but you know how it goes. Sometimes you're kind of curled over the instrument trying to write something. Just be much better if it was easier to locate the frets, especially in low light. I think if you're on a stage in low light, that's something you're definitely gonna need to be ready to kind of deal with. The glossy finish on the back of the neck, I'm not a fan of either. It's exactly that sort of glossy finish that I feel like many guitar players complain about. It does get gummed up. Even in a low humidity setting, like right now it's winter in Pennsylvania and the neck still got gummed up. I can only imagine how awful this instrument would be to play if you were outdoors in a high humidity setting. It would be a complete nightmare. On the back of the guitar, the 9-volt cavity has screws holding it down, which is one of the dumbest things that I've ever seen. This is a compartment that you're going to need to get into fairly regularly if you're going to be playing the instrument. You should not need a tool in order to access that. I absolutely hate that design. Something, again, that should take 2 seconds is now a project, and if you're at a gig and need to change a battery quickly, you should not need to use a screwdriver to do that. Do not like this decision at all. Another negative that I found that I was a little surprised about was I was expecting the palm muted notes that I was playing to be a little tighter, right? Like that seems to be most of the point of going with an active pickup over a passive pickup, and I was a little disappointed with just the tightness. I thought it would be a little bit tighter with those EMGs. I thought the overall tone was cool, yeah, but the palm mutes, they just didn't come through the way I was hoping. This instrument is definitely one that is not designed with comfort in mind. There is no arm contour here for your forearm to rest, so the whole time the edge of the body is going to be jabbing and digging into your forearm, making it extremely uncomfortable. And lastly, I found the micro tuners on this particular tremolo to be very stiff. I repeatedly kept overshooting the note when I was trying to fine tune them, which like defeats the purpose of the fine tuners. They should be very easy to use, and my particular bridge, they just were not easy to use at all. So what's the verdict on this guitar? I find it to be a great looking, sounding, and playing instrument overall, but it is definitely a flawed instrument. The placement of the pickup selector switch and the volume knob is definitely not well thought out. Like I said earlier, when it's in the bridge position, you basically can't flip it back into the neck easily. The screw down back plate on the battery cavity in the back is another really dumb idea, and I don't like the string tree blocking the truss rod. It's just one of those instruments where it really comes across like it was not very well thought through. I think for what you're getting, even at $1,100, it is a pretty good bargain. But that being said, at that kind of price point, I honestly think you should consider going with something like a Kiesel. Yes, the Kiesel is more money, but it's only a couple $100 more for like a base Aries. And with a base Aries, you're gonna get stainless steel frets, it's gonna be made right here in America, and it's gonna have hip shot hardware. So that would be something that I think you should consider if you're looking at this particular instrument. Look, if you can find one used in good condition, marked down a bit, that definitely will make a difference. But for $1,200, man, I don't know. I think I'd be really thinking Kiesel personally. So thanks for watching this review. Hope you gained some insight on this instrument, help better inform you and your purchase. Leave a comment down below. Love hearing about how you think the guitar sounded. I love talking gear with people in general. You can also stop by my YouTube channel if you'd like to see more reviews on different ESP LTD guitars or other brands that I've done reviews on. They're all organized in my guitar reviews playlist.